It's about that time of day again. My name is Joseph. It's Wednesday evening, July the 5th. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. We're covering crude oil, S&P, gold, euro, and FDAX tonight. Crude is bearish ahead of tomorrow's inventory report, but a strong move higher off today's API number is telling us to wait for a second leg higher and then look for proof to see who has control from there. The S&P is range bound and trying to finish rotation back down to the low of the range, but the range is really narrow, so we're putting the plan together to avoid that middle tomorrow, buying low and selling high on the Emini. Gold is range bound and trying to finish rotation back to the high of the range. We're watching for the 2-try rule to look for selling opportunities back down to the low. Got a big prior week low on the gold chart here tonight. We'll grab that in a moment. Euro's range bound and trying to finish rotation up to the highs. We'll definitely be looking for buyer failures and the opportunity to sell back down to that low. FDAX is range bound with both the bulls and the bears taking turns in today's session, which means we're focused on failures and waiting for a successful breakout pullback tomorrow. Well, we're back in the action after a wonderful holiday weekend. Hope you guys had a great time away from the desk. Hope you had some great time with family and friends. Got some big trading ranges tonight to talk about on the newsletter. Got some news tomorrow. Cramming all that news into tomorrow's session ahead of Friday's non-farm payrolls. And as always, I have another great newsletter in store for you guys and gals tonight with a ton of great trading opportunities setting up for Thursday's session. But before we jump in, though, and put this plan together, I do want to remind you the only place to watch the full-length version of this video is on our blog here at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, not to worry. There's a link in the description of that YouTube video. Follow that link. Come join me here on the blog at Sideways Markets and catch the full-length version of our nightly newsletter. While you're here, don't forget, join the mailing list. I'll send you an email every evening when you can go out and watch our nightly newsletter. Follow me on social. Lower left-hand corner, StockTwits, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Pick whatever your favorite flavor is. I'm always posting important charts and links and updates throughout the week. Don't forget to grab those charts for tomorrow. All the charts in tonight's video, you can have them ready on your computer. Follow that link below the video on the blog here tonight. And remember, you're going to learn more with me in 90 minutes on that free pass than you will anywhere else on the interwebs. I can pretty much guarantee you that. If you're not an advanced member here at School of Trade, you got to grab that free pass. Come out and join me in the trade room for a few days this week or next week, whatever's convenient for you. Grab that free pass in the upper right-hand corner. And remember, if you got any questions, I'm always here to help. Hit me up on live support on the right-hand side of the website. I know that most websites are all fully automated, computers, systems, robots these days, right? But I will answer the phone call when you pick up and ask for help. So hit me up on live support, right, if you have any questions along the way. Let's jump right in, guys. Boy, I missed you. What happened? What happened? We had a big holiday weekend, of course, right? Left off last Thursday night. Of course, finished up the week on Friday, and then we had the 4th of July holiday, right, on Tuesday, right? So here we are now on Wednesday evening going into Thursday's session. There's a couple things I want to talk about. First of all, anytime we have a holiday, Monday, Tuesday holiday, we usually have the news that was scheduled for Monday, Tuesday. It's usually pushed back to Thursday, Friday. So tomorrow, Thursday, is a day where we're going to play catch up, right? A lot of news that we're piling on tomorrow, which we'll talk about in a moment. Another thing to keep in mind, and we saw a good example of this today on crude oil, is that anytime we have a situation where there's a holiday, but the markets are actually open, right? Remember, Monday and Tuesday, the markets were technically open, right? We had an early close, obviously, but the markets were open. So there was movement, right? We saw crude go up. We saw gold go down, right? We saw a bunch of movement on Monday and Tuesday this week. And what I want you to remember is I use the analogy, while the cat's away, the mice will play. And basically, when everybody's off celebrating the 4th of July holiday and the markets are either tumbling or jamming higher like we saw the last couple days, when we come back from that break, most of the time you're going to see these markets go right back to where they left off that prior week before. So think about where we ended the week last week. And think of those levels as being price magnets. You're going to see in a moment here on crude oil pretty much gave back the entire move, right, from Monday and Tuesday in about 45 minutes today. Crude was a really good example of that. So whenever we have, and again, this is going to happen most of the time where the markets will be open. They were technically open on Monday and Tuesday. We come back on Wednesday, and now we're seeing the markets kind of go back to where they stalled out last week, right, last Friday, so they can then make their moves from there. So we're going to see a couple of examples of that today, crude oil being one of them, gold being one of them. We'll grab a look at that, right, more and more as we get deeper into tonight's newsletter. So we're going to jam all the news into tomorrow, right, and of course, we're watching some of those end of the week areas, right, which we'll talk about in a moment. All right, enough delay here. Let's jump right in. Tomorrow's Thursday, July the 6th. We have no major news coming in the overnight session, so nothing to worry about that. Tomorrow morning, we got major news from the CPI, from the Swissy. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I think the major meat and potatoes tomorrow morning are going to be at 8:30 block. We got the employment number tomorrow at 8:15. That'll be the leading indicator for Friday's non-farm payrolls. Don't worry too much about the 8:15 number. Tomorrow, the big news headline for most of the markets will be that international trade and jobless claims at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Now remember, we're all cramming all this news in tomorrow, which also means we have the inventory report tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, I've said this many times before if you watch my nightly newsletter every evening. I wish this was when the inventory report was every week. I'll tell you, if there's a petition going around or a ballot I can vote with or anybody cares what my opinion is, why don't we just put the inventory report every Thursday at 11 o'clock? That would make our jobs a whole lot easier, get a full day of trading, right? Get a full morning of trading. They don't really care what my opinion is. I'm sure they have a reason for. Typically, the inventory report is on Wednesdays at 10:30 Eastern Time. But again, because we had the Monday, Tuesday holiday, it's been pushed back to tomorrow at 11 a.m. That's good news for crude traders because that means we got a full session, right, to work with tomorrow. Inventories are being right at the beginning of crude's lunch. What I want you to remember for tomorrow's inventory report is, one, we have specific support and resistance levels we're going to use for tomorrow's session. You can find those on the chart, which you'll see in a moment. I posted them on social media just about an hour ago. If you follow me on any of my social media channels, you got those a couple hours ago. And I'm also going to put those support and resistance levels below tonight's video. So if you want to get a handle on those support levels and resistance levels for tomorrow's session, just scroll down below the video on the blog at Sideways Markets. There's a link that says click here to read more. Follow that link and you'll see all the text with all the levels for tomorrow. The second thing I want to tell you about, remind you, is that with that news number, that's a big deal. With almost every other news event, we give it 5 minutes heads up. For the inventory report tomorrow, it's going to be a 15-minute cutoff around 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time, right? 11 o'clock is the news, so 10:45 will be our timeout. Wait for that news to come out. And then typically, whenever we have the inventory report at 11 o'clock on Thursdays, typically you see a pretty good run into lunch afterwards. It might be 5 minutes after the news comes out. It might be 10 minutes after the news comes out. But don't be surprised if we see some activity going into the lunchtime session. Again, 15-minute cutoff ahead of it, and then we always play it by ear. It might be 5 minutes, it might be 10 minutes, it may be 15 minutes. It may sit there and do nothing and go into lunch. We really won't know until we get there. So again, recapping here, anytime there's a holiday, remember, markets like to go back to where they left off on Friday and then resume from there, cramming all the news into Thursday. And then if I can go a little bit further here, at the end of the day tomorrow, you're probably going to start seeing things wind down a little bit earlier than normal because you got Friday's non-farm payroll. This is the second time in a few months where they kind of snuck in that non-farm number just a few days into the new month, right? It happened at the beginning of the month of June as well. The first Friday of every 1 month, as long as that first day is on a Friday, right, they're going to put that employment number on Friday morning at 8:30. What that means for you tomorrow is watch out for volume dropping off after 2, 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Because remember, that's one of the biggest news events we get, and most professional traders that are trading bigger position sizes are going to want to really eliminate those position sizes right ahead of that major news, because you know how that rolls, right? All hell will break loose on Friday morning, and traders won't want to be exposed from it. So watch out for volume late in the session tomorrow afternoon. All right, I think I got everything covered here. A lot to cover, playing catch up here over the weekend. And again, it's great to be back here with you guys. Hope you guys had a great holiday weekend. Now, what are we going to do about this oil market? Again, don't forget, right? Big news tomorrow, right? So crude is bearish and trading at the high of a channel this evening, which typically tells us to look for selling opportunities to go back and retest the low tomorrow. Now, one thing we can obviously see here is this recent move higher. This is all coming off of the API report that we just heard from at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget, guys, we teach all of the economic news schedule inside of our beginner class if you want to learn more about what the most important news events are that we have to follow each week. Now, this major news has the potential to reverse this trend ahead of tomorrow's inventory report. It's a very bear market right now, but we talk about what are some situations that can immediately reverse a trend, and it's news. News has potential. Now, this API report, which is pushing this price higher, was the biggest draw in inventories since middle of 2016. So we just saw a big drop off the highs. Again, if you recall from right earlier on, I mentioned that when the markets are open, look what's happened. Right? Here's Monday, right? Here's Monday. Here's Tuesday. And Wednesday literally comes in and just takes it all back, right? So now we're kind of back to where we left off, right? Remember what I said earlier, right? We're kind of back to where we left off at the end of the week on Friday. And I'll tell you right now, as bearish as this market looks, right, we could easily be in a bull market tomorrow. Now, the plan for tomorrow is to expect the bulls to attempt at least a second leg higher, and then we're going to watch and see what happens from there. If the buyers fail to hold that pullback, we look for selling opportunities. Or if the buyers can hold the pullback, they'll take control, and then we can look for buying opportunities up into that battle zone and possibly all the way back up to retest today's high. Right? So we heard this morning, one of the first things we saw this morning, we saw a big drop off the high, where there was news coming out of Russia about basically putting the kibosh to any further production cuts. Then, of course, we have the API number here now that's now springboarding, right? Again, biggest draw, right? Draw meaning a draw on inventories, right? Less inventories, right, than they were expecting. So biggest draw, right? Lower inventories, we expect, right? That will increase the demand, relatively speaking, and we should see price going higher. So we have quite a bit of back and forth here right now, right? News says down, news says back up. And again, like I said earlier, right, we are kind of, again, tag you're it, right? We're coming right out of where we finished up, right, last week. So this market really has potential to play to both sides here tomorrow. What do we know? Right now, we know this for sure. We know we have a real strong trend. And as this day finished up, we expect to see some profit taking. Sellers, of course, will then expect to want to sell high, and we look for a retest back down to that low. This is what typically happens. Time after time, a strong bear market turns into a short-term bull rally, but the rally fizzles out when sellers re-enter the market, up around levels of resistance, and price comes back down to retest that low. What else do we know? We also know this is a pretty strong move. Now, I don't care about the fact that we had the biggest draw since mid-2016. I could care less about what the actual news report said. All I care about is there's just no way denying these 1, 2, 3 very strong green candles right here. That is clearly a spike. And anytime we see a spike, we expect to see a pullback and a retest of that high. So really right now, the sellers want to sell high, but I can guarantee you're going to have some buyers seeing this market coming off of Friday's low, right, which is important as we come out of a holiday, and at the same time seeing this big strong move higher. We're probably going to see some buyers here try to buy the dip. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for another leg higher, right? Looking for one more leg higher, and then that's where the magic is going to happen from there, right? I'm expecting this market to pull back, right, and make another leg higher from there. Do the buyers struggle to hold and we roll back over and again, like what normally happens, retest that low? That's what typically happens, but tomorrow's inventory day, right? Careful of inventories tomorrow morning on crude oil, right? Watch that narrow range on the S&P. And I know I've covered a ton of great information tonight on the newsletter. I want to remind you, you don't have to do all this on your own. I teach all of this stuff every day to all of my clients here at School of Trade. We have beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels of membership, right? I'll give you the copy of the trading plan, I'll teach you the strategy, and we'll execute the strategy every day in our trade room. Now, as an added benefit, if you want to learn more without being a client, no problem. You get a great free trial. Go to schooloftrade.com, or if you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, there's a link in the description of the YouTube video. Follow that link, come over to the website at School of Trade, join that free trial, and learn all about the strategy that I teach to all of our beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels of membership. And don't be a stranger. Again, like I said earlier, I realize that most websites are fully automated with robots and pre-recorded videos these days, right? But when you call the office, I will answer the phone. I actually really like that part of my job, helping new clients, right, find the same level of success. So don't forget, guys, keep in touch. My email address is jj@schooloftrade. Join the free trial. Hit me up with any questions, right? And don't forget to come back and see us again tomorrow. We'll be in our trade room tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time for all of our members. I look forward to seeing you there. If not, same time, same place tomorrow. We'll get ready for Non-Farm Friday and tomorrow night's newsletter. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And be here tomorrow. Adios, amigos.